Hey, what's up guys? This is Fatal Cubes here, and I know it's been a while and I apologize for the long delay between videos, but I finally got to it, and in this video we're going to continue off of the 2048 series. I hope to be finishing this series as soon as possible, and we're going to be covering the score manager in this video. So what I realized in the previous 2048 tutorial series, the one without the GUI, is that the scores and how they were handled was very poorly done. It was very rushed. Essentially, I just stuck everything in the GameBoard class, even though all this stuff right here, everything with the high scores and stuff, should really not be in here. They should be in a separate class, sort of a helper class. So we're going to be making a new class called Score Manager, and this class is going to do exactly what it says. It's going to manage all the scores, saving and loading of the current game. So what the score manager, what its job is to know the high scores, both time and your normal point score, as well as your current time and score. And every 2 seconds it will save your game board to a file so that you can X out and come back and continue playing, so you'll be able to load and save to this score manager. Now I will speed up parts of this video where there's a lot of typing of code, where it's just line after line. There's really nothing new. It's just you'll know what I mean when I get there. Anyways, let's start with some variables at the top. So we need to keep track of, again, we need to have integers for just about all the different scores that we can have. So the current score, the current top score, the time, private long time, the starting time, and the best time, as well as we're going to have an integer array to hold the board. This is going to be a one-dimensional array, so it'll just be a integer array called board, and that will be a new integer array of 16 elements. Now right here, if you were to change the size of the board, I haven't made the score manager compatible with different size boards. It's really hard coded to be a 4x4 board, though you could definitely type in here, you know what, I might as well do it, gameboard.rows, oh geez, some contents, close, whatever, board width times gameboard.board. No, not board height and board width. My bad. Rows times calls. Anywho. So this will change dynamically with the size of the board. If you choose to do different size boards, and there are going to be some places in the code we'll have to make sure it works. This is kind of improvising right here. This is not how I have it in my other code. But that's alright, we'll get it to work. Alright, now some file stuff. We need the file path, the temp string, which I'm trying to figure out what it does. We'll see shortly enough. And a copy of the game board. Alright, oh yeah, temp is just equal to temp.tmp. We're just making a new file type here called .tmp. It's basically just going to be a .text file. You literally could do whatever file extension you want. You could say a .hello file. It really doesn't matter. We're not encrypting the file of sorts, so people could easily change their high scores if they wanted to. And just to make a note, the scores in this class only handle the current board. They do not handle your top 5 times, tiles, and scores. That's going to be another class called leaderboards that we'll make in a future video. So yeah. Anyways, let me just check this out. Okay, and we need one more boolean called new game, and that will be equal to false. Alright, so let's get on with the constructor here. The score manager is going to take in one argument for the constructor, one parameter, and it needs a copy of the game board so it can keep track of the status, the scores, and all that stuff. colon this dot gboard equals gboard. Alright, now let's have a try catch. We need to try file path dot, hold on, does this need to be a try catch? We'll find out in a moment. We'll do file path equals new file empty quotes, import that dot get absolute path. Now this will take you right to, this is like a very clean way of getting you to the file location. And I guess that does not need a try catch, which is good. And that's it for the constructor actually. Pretty small, I'll just collapse that to 2 lines. Alright. We need a method called reset for when the game is lost and we need to reset things. First of all, let's grab the file at the file path. So this is the save file, the .tmp file. And let's just make sure it exists. We only want to delete it if it is a file. It's just a precaution so that there's no null errors here. And then we need to set some variables. New game equals true, starting time equals 0, current score equals 0, and the time equals 0. Now let me just make some space here so we can see this. So that'll reset the game board. Alright, now I'm going to start writing this next method. You know what? I probably won't fast forward anything. I'll see if we can I'll just type it out. It really won't be that bad. I'll try to type quickly with haste. Anyways, probably avoid create file. This is going to create the file if it doesn't exist already. So the first time that you play the game, this will create the file here. So we need to specify a new file writer and set it to null, as well as new game equals true because we're creating the file. So just in case this gets called and this doesn't, new game will definitely be set to true. Import file writer if you haven't. And let's just make a massive try catch. And we'll just catch the generic exception E and print the stack trace. In the try, let's get the new file because we're creating it here at the location file path temp. And if you didn't know already, file, this takes in the string parent and the child, so it's basically the directory and then the name of the file. We're going to set output equal to a new file writer with that file as a parameter. Then we need a buffered writer with the output as its parameter, import that, and we need to start writing. So we're not going to be using a char buffer, but we are just going to do quotes plus 0, and this we need to copy for a while. Hold on one moment, I'm going to bring up what the file looks like. Alright, let's see, can I do this? There we go. So the first line looks like it is equal to, alright, well, I can't even tell. Sorry for this. Let me just figure this out. Alright, the first line is the current score. The second line is the current top score. The next line is the time. And then the next line is the best time. So that's in order. We're going to set these all to 0 at the beginning. So like that, as well as in between we need to write new line. So just put that in there. Boom, boom, and there we go. Alright, so that'll create those 4 lines. Now we're going to need a double for loop to go through and save the game board. Because remember, we are keeping track of the board. Now for this we're going to use double for loop even though it's a one-dimensional array. Front row equals 0. Row is less than GameBoard.rows. Row plus plus. For int call equals 0. Call. Alright. If the current row that we're looping through equals the max amount of rows minus 1, so basically it's at the end of the for loop for the rows, and it's at the and the column equals the GameBoard dot calls minus 1, so it's basically at the last one. Then we're just gonna write writer dot write 0, else we're gonna write actually it's gonna be 0 plus and then a minus sign. So we're gonna separate these all by dashes. So this will make it easy to take it and split on this character, on the dash character. If we didn't have this dash, then it would just be one giant number and we wouldn't know where each tile started and ended. And that's basically going to be it for this method. Just make sure to close the writer when you're done, like so. Alright, and that's it for this method. So this will create the file. Onto the saving, and then we'll do the loading, and then that's going to be it. Now, as you probably can tell, a lot of this is similar to what we had in the GameBoard class, except it's a little cleaner, and there's more things we're saving. It's not just the high score and the fastest time. So yeah. Anyways, save game. Save game, we're going to start off the same way. We're going to create a file writer because we're saving, so we need to be able to write to the file. If it's a new game, then the new game now equals false. So if new game isn't already false, then set it to false. Another try catch with the exception E. Alright, so in this try catch, we need to get the file, at the file path and that extension. We need to create the file writer based off of that file. We need to create a buffered writer. Essentially, you know, why don't I just do this? Alright. A little bit of copying and pasting there. And we're actually literally going to take most of this in here and just change a few things. We're going to take all the way down to the writer close, and we're going to pop it right there. Now instead of all these zeros, we're going to go ahead and go current score, because now we're actually saving something useful to the file. The top score, the time, the best time. And when we're going through this, let me just check this out. What did I do? This is if this is alright. This line will be the longest line of code, single longest line of code that you've ever written. It's gonna be a bit confusing. Actually, why don't we break it up? Whoops, what did I just do? Else, we're gonna go all the way up to there. Alright. First of all, let's get the, let's turn row and column into the proper location. So we're basically gonna convert 2D coordinate system to a one-dimensional coordinate system. So the way you do this is you take, let's create a variable to sort, is gonna be equal to rows times GameBoard dot calls. So we're going to take the row. So we're going to take the current row times call plus the column. Now this is standard for turning two-dimensional coordinate system into one-dimensional coordinate system. So just to give you guys an idea, if the row equals 1 and the column equals 1, actually if the row equals 3 and the column equals 2, then that can be converted by going row times the total columns, which is, in this case was 4, so it'd be 12 plus 2, 16. 14. My bad. So as you can see, that is almost the last slot, 3 2. Whereas 3 3 would be 15, which would be the last slot because it starts at 0 and goes to 15. Anyways, you can always draw it out on paper if you want. Just draw a grid and then label them with 0 through 15 and do different rows and columns, and you'll see that this will always work. Alright. So, we're going to do a condensed if statement right here. So all we have to do is go if this.board at our location equals gboard.getBoard, we need to make a method. Alright, I thought that existed already. So the method we need to make is in GameBoard. We'll just put it right at the bottom. Yeah, sure, why not? We'll put it down here. It's gonna return the game board, so get board, and it's going to return the board. Oh yeah. Alright, let's go back to the score manager. So if the location at the board equals gboard.getBoard at row column does not equal null, if this board, then gboard.getBoard at row col dot get value or 0. Alright, now let me explain this a bit. When I wrote this, I shouldn't have put it all in one line. Why don't we do this? gboard.getBoard at row column. So we can just do, as long as tile does not equal null, then get the value of the tile, otherwise put 0. Alright, this makes more sense. So we're getting the location by converting 2D to 1D. Then we're getting the current tile at the game board. If the tile at the game board is null, which is very common, then we don't want to save it as null. We don't want to give the number null as an argument. Instead, we're just going to give it 0. So we're going to assume that 0 means that the tile is null. So when we load the game back up, we're going to check back again, is it 0? And if it's 0, then the location on the board is null. Hope that made sense to you. If it doesn't, then please post comments. Made sense to me, so we're going to continue on. If the row equals GameBoard.rows minus 1, again, we're going to do this whole last thing right here. So just pop that in there. If that equals that, then we just want to write board at location. Otherwise, we want to write board at location plus that. Alright. So the way the saving works is that we're going to assume that this integer array gets updated on the game based off the game board, and then, well, it gets updated right here, and then it's just going to save to the file. Alright, that's pretty good. So we got that all good to go. We have the save method now, and all we need to do is create the load method, and then that'll be it. And then we have to create a few more methods, getters and setters at the bottom. Alright. Load game, we're going to create the same try and catch that we've always been doing, because all file handling can create a lot of errors. So we're just going to catch them all and then print it out. Exception, control space, E. e.print stack trace. So, as always, we're just going to get the file. We're then going to check if f isn't a file, is file. So if f is not a file, we need to create the file. And that calls that method up there that we made during the beginning of the video. So at this point, after calling create file, it has to be a file. So we're going to create a buffered, I don't know why I typed image, it's got to be a reader. Set that equal to a new buffered reader with a new input stream reader with a new file input stream f. Import all that. So buffered reader takes in a reader, and we're giving it an input stream reader, which takes in a file, which takes in an input stream, which we're giving a file input stream, which takes in a file, which we're giving as f. So we could write this out on multiple lines of code if you wanted to, but I decided to condense it all in one line of code, like so. The score is going to be a parsed int of the reader's first line. The top score is going to be the same thing. Same thing with the time, except time is going to be long.parseLong. Reader.readLine. The starting time will equal the time. The best time is going to be equal to long.parseLong reader.readLine. So what is this starting time variable? You might have been wondering what that was at the beginning. Essentially, we want to make it so that if you're playing the game and you're trying to go for, you want to see how much time it takes to get to 2048, and you need to take a break or you need to do something else. So you close out of the game, and then when you open it back up, you don't want the time to be running. You want the time to pause and wait for you to make your first move again. So that's what this is all going to do. The starting time will keep track of what time the game needs to start at. And then that's it. We're going to close. And that's it for the whole score manager class. Except let's go ahead and generate some source. I love doing this. No typing involved. Just go to source, generate getters and setters. And we need some for, let's check this out. We need current score, top score, time, best time, new game, and get board. So we're going to use board, best time, these. We need to be able to get the board, but we're going to use this board and new game and time. Now let's see if that's all correct. Alright. Let's set it after load game and hit OK. And let's modify some of these, because some of these don't need setters. Like this one, we don't need that. This one, let's just change this to new game. We don't want to be able to set the board. People shouldn't be able to do that from outside of the class. Other than that, set time, current, and we're good to go. So again, I apologize for not uploading a video in so long. I hope that it's been a while since I recorded a video, so this wasn't probably the best video I've made. But if you have any questions, if anything's confusing, then please let me know in the comment section. I'd love to help you out, and I hope to finish this series soon, and then we'll move on to different things in the future. So see you guys there.